Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. My name is Cindy for July 12th. Thank you so much for being here. Um, you know, I want to just take a moment and just say thank you for all of the support, the kind comments, the reviews on private readings that end up in my comment section, the donations, just subscribing, the views. It's all fabulous, and I'm so grateful for it. And I really, really do appreciate it. For anybody looking for a private reading, in the Dropbox below is an email address, and you can feel free to just send me a quick email, and I will send you the information that you need. So I'm recording this late because obviously I wanted to finish watching the hearings today and see what insights or guidance they sort of offered. And so that's what I'm going to look at today. But what was interesting is I was listening to the closing arguments. And it was sort of really pointing out just how extreme everything had become under the Trump government. And even more so how it continues, right? I mean, the whole thing with the abortion rights and whatever comes next, God help us all, it's about sort of pushing that one extremist view. So as I was sort of listening to kind of the nonsense that has been going on and that Americans have been dealing with for, a few years now, a little exhausted, the whole lot of you, I'm sure, I had a really clear picture in my mind. And I want to share it with you because I can. So I'm going to use a pendulum. For those of you who regularly see my channel, you know that I use a very short pendulum like this when I'm doing readings or asking pendulums questions. But I purposely am picking a long one today because it amplifies the point. This pendulum, by the way, was made by Paul. You know him in the comment section as White Dragon. Hi, Paul. I've been saying forever we need to do another video for the Soulprint Insights channel on the crystals, etc. But things have just been crazy lately. I don't know. Anyways, he has an SD shop, and I'm almost positive the name is Aquarian Age Things. I hope. Paul knows I get the name wrong about 85% of the time. If it's on Aquarius, it's Aquarian, but I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, I've reversed it. I'm pretty sure it's Aquarian Age Things. Okay, this was the picture I was shown. Just gonna let it stop. Pendulum, show me your side to side swing. You're going to notice my hands moving. I'm not doing that. This is the force of the pendulum. Show me that swing to the extreme. I'm really not moving my hand, guys. Show me what happens when the pendulum settles and finds center. Okay. So the message I received by the picture was simply this. Under Trump and under this crazy Republican push that's going on, everything has gone to the extreme. What's going to happen next is there's going to be a pushback from the other side. So there's going to be a real push for, amplified freedoms, amplified inclusion, amplified all of it, voting rights, but all of it. And what will happen is it will find center. But right now, we are in the middle of that sort of that extreme swing and it's starting to come back, but it's going to go the other way. Hopefully that's going to allow the Biden administration to get some of the more desperately needed stuff pushed through, whether it's laws or whatever it is. And then eventually it will sort of find a gentle center. So I just wanted to share that with you because it's sort of a comforting thought to know that no matter how crazy the pendulum went one way, it will go the other way. It always does. A pendulum, it's not still, right? And neither are our governments, neither are we as societies. Everything is always in motion. It's energy, it's the nature of energy. Okay, so more bad news for Trump today, because there was just more insight given in terms of what he had been told, what people around him were saying in terms of the election not being stolen, and his absolute, what do they call that? Willful blindness to absolutely not see or accept or recognize the truth that he was being given. And this boils down really simply, right? He wanted to stay in power, and so he wasn't going to listen to anybody who was saying anything that, he didn't want to hear. It's just really as simple as that. Sorry. And the other thing we found out that one of the witnesses we saw sort of explained almost how easy it was for him to become sucked into what Trump was saying. He surrounded himself by those kinds of media sites, and everything Trump said was the truth. It wasn't even questioned. It was just simply the truth. And then we had the gentleman who had been sort of like, I don't know, point person or a head communicator, media person for the Proud Boys. And he flat out said, man, oh man, these guys are violent, malicious. That's what they are. Don't call them anything else. That's what they are. And that was who Trump was calling to his side for January 6th. So I want to see two things today. I want to see if the message is getting through, if the hearings are accomplishing what they set out to accomplish. And understand that you're not going to switch all the Republicans. You're not. But you don't need to switch all of them. You just need to get enough of them recognizing objective reality, recognizing this is the truth, and you can't just alter the truth because you would prefer it to be another way. And then I want to take a look at the former guy and see how's he handling this. Come on down. Okay, here we go. Impact of hearings. Okay, well, lovely. We're starting out with the Justice card. High Priestess, Temperance, and the Nine of Swords. Five of Cups. Okay, so this is where we're at. More and more people are paying attention. Now, they may not be watching the hearings from beginning to end when they are aired, but they are catching the replays. They are, hearing commentaries, whatever it is. But overall, people are hearing the message. And the message really boils down to this. It is time for the United States to examine what it wants to be, what it wants to represent, what it wants to stand for. The pursuit of justice is going to help bring that to the fore. Ultimately, where you settle is with temperance. You settle with balance, okay? Exactly like the pendulum was showing you. You settle with balance. The people who we pray and hope are receiving the message, they're getting it. Not all of them, but you don't need all of them. And they're starting to recognize that, they were misled. They weren't using objective reality when they were thinking things through. They were just simply listening and absorbing and taking it as gospel. And so there's a lot of them out there that are kind of like just shaking their heads and going, wow, how did that happen to me? How did I end up in that spot and in that place? And it's interesting because for many of them, it really is almost a grieving process that they're going through. Because, listen, nobody likes to be made a fool of. Nobody likes to think that they got suckered in. And these people who were starting to just sort of look at things and go like, wow, that was absolutely not the story I was hearing from what I was listening to, are really starting to think about how their beliefs, and their beliefs were absolutely based on a lie, how that really formed their impressions and their attitudes. And we know anger is a powerful, powerful emotion. And if you engage somebody's anger, um, they become a force to be reckoned with. And that was something that he knew and he understood. And frankly, he was really good at. Even when you listen to the testimony today about that meeting in the Oval Office on, what was it, the 18th, and people were fighting and screaming and swearing at each other. Make no mistake, he was in his glory. He thrives on that. He wants to see how hard and how vicious and how low people will go in defense of him, because that is how he determines who gets to be in that inner circle. And it doesn't matter. It does not matter if what they're saying doesn't make sense. He's not listening to it for it to make sense. It is evoking an emotional response in him. And the emotional response boils down to, they love me. Look how hard they're fighting for me. I'm worthy because they're fighting so hard for me. But as days go by and the hearings continue, what you're seeing is even those who were fighting for him have had to pull back and say, wow, that was quite the little rabbit hole we were sucked into. So it definitely looks like there is, some clarity. People are starting to recognize. And again, listen, you have people out there who were so saturated with Trumpism that, like, literally, when you watch these people being interviewed, they don't even recognize how kind of dumb they sound. Okay. Like, they are so immersed in that bubble, they don't even get that what they're saying is like nonsensical. But the hearings are actually putting kind of to death. It's going to close a chapter and allow another one to open up, is what these three cards here are talking about. It is all about, we'll put this on this side, all about the ability to communicate an idea and get it through to as many people as possible. And the January 6th committee is doing that. They're accomplishing that. And listen, there's lots of people out there who don't want to hear it. They just don't want to hear it. They want to continue to believe what they want to continue to believe. And they can. They're allowed to. That's their free will choice. But if you question whether, ultimately speaking, the committee is accomplishing what they want to accomplish. They absolutely are. Because more and more, we all get really, really clear pictures of exactly how low he would go, to the degree to which he would orchestrate what literally is an insurrection, and that he was able to get it by pitting people against each other, and may the strongest one win. And you can still see, like, on the little snippets that they show, of sort of those lawyers for Trump, Giuliani and the lady whose name I can never remember. They are still sort of immersed in that web. I mean, that fog. Even though on their legal documents, Sidney Powell said, well, anybody who would actually objectively think that what I was saying was true kind of is very smart. I paraphrase. But even in those hearings, she was still, on the defense for Trump. She was still right there. Ditto Giuliani, although what did that's doing him, I swear I don't know. Ultimately, there's going to be a lot of people who pay a very high price. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to sort of get left out in the cold, people who are going to be shunned. Those that really, really aided and abetted, encouraged, amplified those messages, that information, that energy, step by step, is being dissipated. Not all of it, but enough. And that's what you want to remember. It doesn't have to be all of it. It just has to be enough to put sort of the government in a place where it can actually start moving forward to create permanent changes and to strengthen the structures and the foundations. Yeah. So, there kind of you have it. People don't want to hear it, but ultimately justice rules. I mean, when you start off and you have the justice, the high priestess, and temperance representing the committee, and you have all of this sad energy representing the right wing people, you can see how it's collapsing, and the only high arcana card they have is death. Okay, so there you kind of have that. Yeah, and listen, it's and I think I said this before. Everybody keeps waiting for the hearings to end. I have to tell you, I really think that they're going to go right through the end of July and probably into August, only because they're going to continue to get information that is going to sort of make their closing statement, if you will, really, really super impactful. And you know what? They have done a fabulous job so far making the hearings impactful and really bringing to light, kind of the crazy that went on. And this is the thing, right? What kind of people are they? Who, and as you know, I'm Canadian. I don't hold a great romantic, sentimental notions about the White House or the Oval. But what kind of people can enter into kind of those hallowed halls, if you will, and treat just the room and what the room represents. What the room represents with such incredible disdain and disrespect and vulgarity. It's just kind of a little bit mind-numbing, it really is. Let's take a look at how who is doing. Nothing but bad news for this fella. And that's a good thing because, I also have to tell you, as I was watching the hearings today, I want to actually take a look at Roger Stone and Mike Flynn. In fact, I should write a note because I'll forget. Um, and take a look at them because, more and more today, their names were coming up as part of that circle. And I believe that there are going to be some significant legal ramifications that come down the pike for them, but we shall see. Okay. Um, Tell me about Trump. Tell me about Trump. Tell me about Trump. Aw, look. Aw, aw. Okay. So again, how he's doing right now is he's being more and more deserted by those people in his inner circle. He is losing support from the very people that he needs to come to keep on getting money from, to keep on scamming. And he's starting to recognize that there is a depletion of resources. And he really is sort of becoming more and more unimportant, unnecessary, perhaps. I mean, when you have a DeSantis out trumping Trump, what do you need Trump for? And as far as the Republican Party and that sort of wing of the Republican Party, at least this guy's smart, right? So you can see where there would be a shift, including at Fox News, from Trump to DeSantis, because he also doesn't have a bottom, but he's smart. He knows how the game is played. As for Trump, it's interesting. Makes me wonder more and more what he's walking away from because I'm telling you, I'm almost sure he's going to announce that he's running again, but he's going to do that to great big fanfare because of the money, right? Because he needs to keep the grift going. He needs to keep on getting um, the funds. But I think in some place that sort of the knives, right? The battle scars are really, really going to start getting to him. I said it one of my very first readings. Trump would end up, dying a death of 1,000 cuts, and this is what we're seeing. Um, it's interesting, swords cut sort of fit together. But he is starting to recognize, he's starting to feel the impact of it, whether it is subpoenas, it is lawsuits, whether it is hearings that just, and listen, the hearings are doing a very, very good job of making him the central character. He is the kingpin. He is the very top of the pyramid that created this. And so all of the sort of nonsense excuses that not only he, but the flippin' Republican Party were standing behind just don't have any weight to them anymore. He was not duped. He didn't not know what was going on. He didn't think that all the people on the ellipse had just come from, church choir practice. He knew. So how's he doing right now? So he's starting to really feel the impacts of people shunning him. That's the word. Um, yeah. He continues to be attempting to create some relevance in terms of his communications. So again, you have, I don't know, True Social's in a lot of trouble, so I don't think that's going to go well for him. He doesn't have the strength or the power that he used to have, that he thought he had. And interesting, you have both the King and the Queen of Cups here. And this is talking about sort of an emotional overload or overly emotional responses of that sort of feeling like, there's nothing stable under your feet. Everything is shifting. It's like standing on quicksand. So you have an energy around him that, well, there are people trying to keep him sort of up and happy and hanging in there. and, are doing the listen, let's rev everybody up, let's go, let's announce we're running again. Like right now, he's popping and bopping around from place to place, I guess, to attend rallies with other people who are other Republicans who he has endorsed, to try to get them in. But you know what? Like the reality is, that a lot of those people are not going to get in, not just because Trump endorsed them, but because as more information comes out, people are going to start cluing into the fact that what they're saying is just nonsense. But for him, as we know, we've always known this. It's all about the money. It's all about his ego. His focus is trying to figure out how to get some money. And again, you have, you just have somebody who is raging, who is angry, who is furious, who can't figure out how this has happened to him. He's just super volatile right now. And doesn't care who he yells at or screams at, doesn't even care if he makes a fool of himself. Everything he touches dies, as the book title so perfectly said. And so what you have is a decay. And I don't know that he actually recognizes the decay, but he certainly is feeling it. Does he think he can get it back? Oh, you bet he does. Is he going to? No, he's not. He's not going to be able to. So what you have right now is somebody who is angry. You have somebody who is watching what's going on around him and more recognizing that he can't control it, that every time there's one of those dang hearings, he's getting, maligned and slaughtered, and he continues to spiral. He continues to spiral. But with every hearing, any of the defenses he had, any of the explanations he had, any of the excuses he had are just getting knocked over like bowling pins. So I think what you have here is a man who is desperate, and hearings that continue to be incredibly successful at getting the message across and letting people know what the actual reality was and what happened. And one of their next hearings is going to do that sort of timeline, that minute by minute by minute explanation of what happened on January 6th. And that's like really, really important, because at the beginning of the hearing today, you saw where they followed through with the tweet and then the responses and what happened, like almost like synchronicity, right? It all just fell into place. And it was really, really important, because when you were able to see the pieces as they clicked together side by side, you were able to go from Trump, Stone, the Proud Boys. And that's helpful. And can you imagine what it's going to do when we get a minute by minute reading of those 6 or 8 hours on January 6th? I think it's going to absolutely cut him off at the knees, and a few other people along the way. Okay. Have a good one. I will see you back here in a few days, I hope. And until next time, take care, be well, and see you soon. Bye-bye.